Hey everybody, it is I Hope Giselle, and I am here today with another episode of Can We Talk with me. And I also have a special guest. Now, some of y'all may know him as being just fine for absolutely no reason. Others of you may know him for being an intellectual, and some of y'all are on both of those boats, like myself. Okay, but also beyond that, he's an amazing person, an amazing inspirational person, and just like a new perspective and community that we need. And when I say community, I mean all of the intersections in which he sits in. Please help me to introduce my brother, my friend, my newfound confidant, Mr. Obio, to the stage. Ah, come on, right? Obio, right? It's gonna be a thing. It's gonna be. I'm gonna do the inserts. It's gonna be a whole thing.
What up, bro?
What's good?
I'm chilling. How are you?
I'm good. I got a bone to pick with you.
What's the bone?
I have all the bones to pick.
It's always a bone. What did I do today?
You did everything, because you be, first of all, like I would like to let the record show for everyone on Instagram who knows that Obio got beef with me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That he made it to my show before I made it to his show.
Because I made it to her city before she did.
That's beside the point. That is beside the point.
Whatever, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you. So, I mean, I want to jump right into the stuff, because I feel like we've got things to discuss and things to talk about and things to go over.
Yeah.
And so I was just telling you that I saw one of your recent videos that I believe only was released on TikTok, but I saw it on TikTok.
Well, yeah.
And this was a vulnerable video that you put out there. And was it in mutuals before I even get into it?
No.
Okay. Because you know sometimes people have mutuals, girl. When you put stuff out, you know.
Uh-huh.
But in the video, you spoke about just how you felt about not feeling attractive.
Yeah.
Now, in the introduction, even in my introduction, right? One of the things that I think a lot of people start their journey with you for is your aesthetic, right? It's just like, oh, he cute, follow. And then if you got some substance to you, stick around for the message.
Yeah.
And in this video, which I'll insert somewhere up in here, we'll clip it, I'll do a thing, right? So y'all can see what I'm talking about. You not only explained your feelings, but then you talked a little bit about trying to talk to your father about it and how he kind of just dismissed it.
Yeah.
And what was funny in my own admission, what I will say is that I didn't even finish the video. Now, this video was 3 minutes. It would have taken me nothing to, you know how many 3 minutes I got in a day? Okay, and especially for somebody who I consider like an associate or a person who I want to move into my friend space. But I had to check myself several times in the time span of the 2 minutes and 30 seconds that I did watch. Because at first I was like, what? And then the second I was like, ooh. And then lastly I was like, but no, because, and it took me back to a moment where even before the hope that y'all see now, like I feel like I'm on a different level now, but I guess you don't see yourself. Because I made a video talking about some situation years ago. I can't remember what it was, but I don't think it had anything to do with looks. But one of the young women who commented on it was just like, oh, hope you only saying that because you're pretty. Because if you knew the struggle of da-da-da-da, and if you understood da-da-da-da-da, and if people didn't respond to you like X, Y, and Z, then you wouldn't be saying it like that. And in my mind, I'm like, bitch, what? I just got called a man today. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But we don't see ourselves. But it brings me back to the conversation of, like, I had to check myself because part of me also dismissed you because I was like, bitch, you know you fine. Stop, like, don't get on the internet and be trying to have a moment and trying to bring yourself down to our level for the sake of content.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but who am I to say who am I to say that he's not in that moment in that space that I was in where I was just like, I just got called a man today. And here's this girl who's like, no, but you're fucking gorgeous and you're pretty and that's why you don't understand where I'm coming from, right? Yeah. One, what are your thoughts about this? And then two, what even prompted you to feel comfortable enough to put that on the internet?
Yeah, no, I think what you said is real. I think for me, I struggle with other people's perception and my own, right? And so even for myself, not to sound cocky, but I pretty much know that people may find me attractive, but does that mean that I have to agree, right? Does that mean that I have to then, like, do I have any autonomy? Right, what does that look like in this space? And so for me, it's like, yes, I'm not gonna hide when I go out into the world, but from my own personal perception, what do I think of me in this season? How do I feel my most attractive self, right? And I also think a lot of people really feel like, you know, they're closer to, you know, that conventional level of attractiveness. They often struggle with that perfectionism thing, right? If I can just get this little tuck or this little this or this little nip or this little, you know what I mean? So I've struggled with that in my life as well. Body isn't where I want it to be. And it was like, boy, shut up, you know? But I think even in that same regard, we have to, like I said in the video, kind of hold space for that, right? Because everybody's, not to sound like the old adage, but everybody's like fighting a battle that you can't see, essentially, right? And so I think for me, the video was more about me kind of speaking up as a black man too, because I don't think that we hold a lot of space for black men not feeling attractive, right? We can talk about black men not having any money and that whoa, or like, you know, whatever, but I don't really see a lot of like space, and I get it, it's a different plight for a woman than it is a male, but I think at the same time, there's this very interesting space for like men not feeling attractive. That's a real thing. And a lot of women were like, even trying to be like not just saying like, boy, please, but like, it's a man talking about this. And I don't really see a lot of men not feeling attractive. Like, that's like more of like women will say, right? But it's like, there's a bunch of guys in my circle who are like, I'm not feeling cute. I don't want to be naked in front of a boy or a girl. Like, that's a real thing.
It's just, I feel, and it sucks because this is like, even as because I'm not perfect, I'm still working through this and trying to check myself now, because sitting here, I'm like, it's the guy in the pictures, right? There is no, whatever filter, whatever nip tuck, whatever thing you do that we don't know about to make it appear however it appears, it still gives what it gives in person. So it's very hard to like, sit back and like actually recollect with the fact that like, yeah, you feel that. And I feel that for you. I don't though. Like I don't receive that myself. And so it takes me to a space of
that's same time.
Right. When you're a pretty person, right? When you have the privilege of pretty, do you feel like there is less space for you to complain? Right.
Yeah, for sure. I think we have anything in excess, right? We have a bunch of money, a bunch of, you know, you look a certain way, we're gonna automatically be like, yeah, no problems.
Right.
And I've been guilty of that. My friends who have a bunch of money, I'm like, well, if I had that access to that kind of money,
I would be straight.
I wouldn't have a bad day. What are you complaining about? Right. Look at the lobster. But I do think we have to, again, like, hold space for that. Even for myself, I think there is an interesting place for those of us who have not always looked this way, though. Right.
A lot of men don't get space to. There's always this thing, like I remember growing up, my mom had like this huge issue with my stepfather getting sick, because he would ride that sickness until the cows came home. It would be, he was dying, the world was over, he can't breathe, he can't move, he can't. And it's the same by a child. It's just like, child, you sniffle one too many times, throw up one too many times, and even if it's just like a regular old stomach bug, like shit that women be like, okay, like I'm okay for now, that happened, but I'm good, like I'm gonna drink a little something. Men just take it to the extreme, and I think that that's in the space where we're talking about like this whole idea of like feeling pretty, feeling beautiful, and all of these things, because I find myself in this space where like there's not a day that goes by that somebody doesn't say like, oh my God, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, whether it be virtually or in real life. But there are a lot of days, like you said, where I'm just like, the bitch, if I could just, because you think I'm bad now, but if I could just, right? But that brings me to the space of, is the privilege of being pretty an addiction, right? Like, is it an addiction? Like, is it like, once you get a taste of knowing what it's like to not go a day without having someone, whether it be real life, virtual, somebody you care about, or somebody you don't know, give you these accolades and these compliments, is it like, on the days when it's fewer, you're starting to be like, oh wait, there was only 3 y'all. Let me hold up. It was like, because y'all got me fucked up out here. Like, does it become a thing?
I think for some it can. I think at the beginning when I first started getting called attractive, I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like, this is interesting, I guess, whatever. You know, it wasn't like a thing. And I think now that I've kind of been settled into, I guess, being what people consider to be attractive, even with the video, I was struggling, Hope, because I'm like, I don't want people to think that I'm broken because of it.
Right.
Because I think there's this vanity that's associated with us wanting to look a certain way, and it's a slippery slope, right? Because for myself, like, yes, of course I want to be cute. I want to be cute. But that's not the most important thing to me, contrary to popular belief. Like, I think people may see you with a selfie or what have you, but that selfie took me 2 seconds to do, right? Like, and the rest of my life is not centered around the way that I look. And I think people will decide for you what your most popping quality is. I could cure cancer tomorrow. They don't say he's doing good because he's cute. Like,
right.
You know, that's on you. I can't control that, right? But in my mind, I have to be able to validate my own experience and how I feel about me, what that says about me. But I do think people are addicted to looking a certain way. And to your point earlier about the gender binary, I think when it comes to like men, our conditioning looks totally different than women. You know what I mean? And so I think why we see women being able to kind of endure more, because women are taught very young they're going to endure more. Like, you know what I'm saying? As a man, the world's going to kind of open up and bend to your leisure. Like, that's just kind of the reality and the privilege that comes with being a guy. But as a woman, you get paid less, treated, mistreated, you're unsafe in most environments. Like, you gotta get rid of it.
Just that. Just that.
So men are able to cry or be babies when we're sick because we know that you're gonna have to come to our aid. Like, for women, I don't know if that's the same condition they do.
I mean, it's definitely. I think that there's a suck it up culture for women and femmes that a lot of people don't tell us about either. It's kind of just like for the base level things, like things that everybody else just kind of expects. And I say everybody else because when I'm talking about women, I'm speaking about Black women because I'm Black. I don't know. I can't. But I think that there are things with Black women where it's just like, fuck that up. Like, these men be cheating. Suck it up. And it's not to say that, other girls from other races don't get the talk. But what I'm saying is I don't know that to be true. I know on a vast scale that most Black women get that talk. Where it's just like, suck that up. These people don't feel this type of way. Every brown girl that's deeper in the paper bag gets the color talk, right? And the texture talk and all of those other talks. And then even like when you add on the layer of being a Black trans woman, like the old heads, if they're decent, will sometimes even lace you up that way and be like, girl, just because you dark skin, they're gonna say that you don't pass, right? Like, just because, like, not even because you're not beautiful, you could be the baddest bitch on the block, but something about your skin color makes you more masculine inherently, right? And these are things that are like, we are set up as women, like you said, it's like you get rated the rights before you step out into the space, and a lot of guys are not getting that. So when there is ridicule, it's kind of like, what you mean? Because my mom and my granny said that I was the most handsome nigga in life. To ever cross your path, bitch.
No, I get it. Wait, so I have a question. Can I ask a question? So, like, when you were, like, transitioning and stop being this too evasive, was there like a defense that you had going into your transition, like when you were a little more on guard, and then did you settle into your transition at some point in life? Is that what you think?
Yeah, no, and it does, and there was there. I mean, I had a bunch of different defense mechanisms. I think at first it was my crew, right? Like I had 4 gay Black men that just did not play about hope. And I needed them at the beginning because as boisterous as I am and I've always been, there was something, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong while y'all listening in the car or while you getting kids ready for school, or because contrary to popular belief, heterosexual cisgender people do listen and watch me. But I needed it because there was something about my transness that felt like it didn't belong at first. Like it goes back to something that my friend Tahoe said when I first had a conversation with him on Horrible Decisions podcast, shout out to Weezy, he was like, when we would make fun of the gay people in the neighborhood growing up, it was like they knew better. Like, it was like they knew not to walk on our side of the street because, like, and he was like, in our minds, that's how we justified saying the things that we said because they would avoid us. So why would you avoid us if you don't think that we're right in our behavior? Why can't you just walk down the side of the street? And they don't understand that I'm not walking down the side of the street because y'all know that y'all are just joking. Y'all know that all y'all are gonna do is say these things to me.
Right.
I'm not sure that one of y'all is gonna reach behind the stoop and grab something and hit me, right? And so y'all are thinking that this is justified behavior because I know to cross the street, but what I'm doing is trying to protect my neck. And I think that for me, a lot of it was like, I was just like, do I have the right to say something? Like, because I'm an early trans woman But then on top of that, like, I'm new to this woman gang, and a lot of women don't even say anything. So who the fuck am I to stand up for myself and say something? Let alone, like, I'm still trying to figure this whole trans thing out. I just figured out what this was yesterday. So let my friends do it. Like, I'm gonna tell my friends how I feel, and my friends are gonna convey that to the larger public. And then once I started to step into myself, then my defense mechanism was my makeup and my look. Say what you want to say, but bitch, this hair is virgin, Peruvian, Brazilian, 34 inches before y'all bitches ever knew anything about them existing. Right? Say what you want to say, but this face is done. This cut crease is laid, it's all of the things. And so that, the look and the fashion became it because I was like, say what you want to say, but you can never say I'm ugly. You might be able to tell I'm trans, you might be able to tell that I'm a man, but you can never say that I'm unattractive or that I'm not well put together. And I think that once I moved out of that stage of my life, and makeup helps, like working at MAC and like inundating myself in a space where I felt like every single day I had to have it on, I had to put it on, became exhausting for me. But it was also the most liberating fucking thing that ever happened to me because I remember towards the end, like right before I got ready to do my big one and move to LA literally on a whim. Like woke up on Monday and decided I was gonna leave, and by Wednesday I was in LA living, kind of shit. But before that happened, I remember I was going to work and I was just like, I don't want to do this no more. And not even the makeup, it was just the style of makeup. And I was getting in trouble for not having on products. But I was like, I got on a full face of foundation, my eyebrows are done, and I got on lip gloss and mascara. I just didn't feel like packing it on today. Like, it's here, look, I'm wiping it, like, look at this. And it was to the point where I started to realize that I was uncomfortable with the facade and the armor because I no longer needed it. Like I was no longer in a space where I felt like what I woke up with wasn't enough. And so then it was like that came down and it became a thing where wigs started to feel uncomfortable. Like, don't get me wrong, I love a slay. I still follow all of my wig pages and I still got 45 wigs up there that ain't getting used. But when I put them on, I don't feel like me. I don't feel like the black, brown, like naturally I woke up like this, what you see is what you get type girl. Like that's not me anymore. But I had to, in different spaces of my transition, I had to accept what was happening rather than try to continue to conform to everything and everybody around me because society was telling me, no girl, we love your wigs. No, we love the 30-inch hoe. No, we live for a good slave. We love the cat eye. We love all of those things. But I personally was having this whole other internal thing that was like, but we're feeling a very natural wig today. But these lashes are uncomfortable, so why are we still wearing them? This wig is hot, girl. It's hot, and you got hair. What are you doing? Like, stop. And when I was able to finally be like, fuck what y'all got going on, I'm going to do this for myself. Everything else made sense, like everything else lined up. But it just took, in each phase, there was a different coat of armor, and I learned to shed them as I learned more about myself. And I think that even through that, I'm going to keep learning.
Yeah, I think there's ebbs and flows to life in general, right?
Definitely.
We're all journeying and it looks different in different seasons.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I think even when I made the video, I think it was like this. Again, I know for myself, like when I'm not going to feel it. You know, like, especially with growing your hair out. I don't know if y'all like.
Oh, the ugly stage.
Oh, God, today. Like, with me, this little Oasis dad phase is not my gift, so you're going to catch me in that. But, I don't know, I think, again, it's like, what are we using to validate ourselves?
Well, I'm sorry, I just called you just called yourself Frank Mitchell.
That's what it's giving. That's what it gives. It's giving, like, is it true, Frank? That's what it is. And that's not my thing, but I think even in the end of the day, like I think also people understand as we deal with our aesthetic, there's moments where you're like, yeah, fuck it. Right? Like even and everyone's like, oh well, you was just half naked on the ground. That might have been a fucking day. That might not have been like it's in me. It might be like some days you're just like, I'm not being mindful, I'm not being conscious, I'm still not confident yet. I don't care today. I'm just gonna do my thing. And I think it's to give people credit for those moments. I don't really have those moments. I'm pretty much always conscious. But like I think people have moments like, I'm not doing it today. Like the confident thing came in the mail yet, but I'm about to do my big one anyway because I don't have time. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just think it's just like a journey, man. This is a journey, and I think even for myself, giving myself the license to continue the journey, right? Like the license to decide for myself what I look like, what I sound like, who I am. Especially as a gay man, people will tell you all the time, like when I first started making videos, it was like, find me a masculine person. I hope you stay masculine. I hope he's a top. I hope he doesn't wear this. I hope he never wears that. I hope he never says this. And it's like, oh, like, and so in the beginning, I'm like, wait, should I not? Let me make sure I never do anything outside of, and then you have to go through that whole thing where it's like, well, how do I, let me be a passable trans woman.
Right.
Let me be a done one. Let me be a masculine gay. Let me be like, what's my proximity to straightness or my proximity to like the larger culture? And I think you have to kind of remind ourselves, like, who do you want to be?
There was a space with my ex, and if y'all know, I ain't giving no clout, and I know you be watching, and what's up, shout out to you. We ain't got no beef, but if we still got beef, fuck you for life. But love you.
Okay. So.
Right. But no, I remember, if you know, you know, his name is Lex Newman on the social webs, and I remember he said something to me that didn't make sense, but it made all of the sense, where he was just like, if I came out and I made the videos about loving trans women and wanting to be with trans women in the same way with a different aesthetic, it wouldn't hit the same way with the trans community or with the cishet community that's listening. He was like, when you're trying to get out a message, you have to know your audience. And sometimes you forsake who you are in order to get the greater good out, right? Which is, my purpose is to have folks understand and see that the men who enjoy and love trans women look just like your brother, your cousin, and everybody else. And he's like, I'm a princess nigga. Like, one of these days, I'm gonna bust out and they're gonna be like, who the fuck is this queen, right? But while I'm trying to do the work, I have to forego that because I know, like you said, it's the, oh my God, thank you, finally somebody said it, but then it's also the backlash of, I hope he better not, I don't wanna catch him in, ooh girl, I'm so happy, I don't even know who he is, like he's never been, like it's one of those things where it's like, do I want to, or do I feel like I have to censor who I am in order to get the message out? And if I do, then what's the point of telling them, what am I doing in the first place? What are we really doing? If the whole point is to be real and have real conversations, why can't I come as I am and leave people where they at? Like, it's okay if you don't understand it. And it's okay if you assume that I'm the type of nigga that would like a trans woman. You know what? I am the type of nigga. That's cool. That's great. But also, and then some, if you met me on the street, you still wouldn't just assume that I was with one. Your idea would be that I'm still a heterosexual man. So I'm still breaking the binary. I'm still doing things differently. And I don't feel the need to police how I look in order for you to believe that either. There has to be a space, but like you said, even me, like sometimes I catch myself, the light will come on, I'll press record, and I'm like, ooh, but I ain't efficient enough in that one.
Yeah.
Ooh, but my voice kind of cracked at the end. I don't wanna, like, it's the whole thing. Like right now, one of my videos that's doing numbers is a video where another trans woman was just like, oh, you know, trans girls, like, we don't have to wear makeup. Like, post a picture with yourself with no makeup. And a video from vacation where I was just on the beach feeling cute. And I didn't recognize that my boyfriend was in the back, and like he looked at the camera. I guess he didn't want to be in the video that day, and he turned his head. But I didn't notice that because he loves me so much that I know that that's not what he was doing. Yeah. But all of these people in the comments that want to nitpick, because you can't say I'm ugly, right? You can't say the other stuff that you want to say. So now the call out is, look how he turned his head. You see, he embarrassed. And I'm just like, but any other time, I would have wrecked my brain about it. The old Hope would have noticed that and been like, oh, I can't post this one. Now I'm just like, fuck you. I know he loves me. It's all good. Because you saying that on this post, but the next post you're going to see him smiling and saying all of the things. So it's just like, who are we really doing this for? I think that that's the rhetorical question that you have to ask yourself every single time. It's like, am I doing this to feed my audience, or am I doing this to gain another audience or gain access to another audience that I don't feel like I belong in?
And don't lose your community as you garner your audience, right? I think a lot of people kind of get an audience and become an island. I think what you talked about just now is so beautiful because you have a person who you know loves you, which is a luxury. a lot of people don't have people in their corner that they know love them, that they know doesn't think that they know is for them. You know what I mean? I think because of that, we're like bartering with strangers essentially. You know what I'm saying? And it's like there are so many people who don't have community. Even I was like, okay, why do you never respond in comment sections? Because I recognize that if you are that broken to bring that much negativity to my comment section, I don't want to go. I don't want to break it even more because I think honestly, I'm not even. This is really sound funny, but I'm not even the person who thinks you can't have a comment on somebody's stuff. I'm just of the space where you send it to your group chats. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but a lot of people don't have group chats. A lot of people have community. A lot of people have friends. And we're being really, really 100 in this moment. A lot of people don't have community. And because you don't have a community, you are, again, like trying your best to appease and please people you don't know because you don't have the luxury of at the end of it all, cutting everything off and clocking into your actual people who give a damn about you outside of how you look. If you're not feeling cute, it doesn't matter to them. If you're feeling big, it don't matter. If you ain't got no money, it don't matter. People just want to see you win and win with you.
Period.
And everybody don't have that. I think you have to really remind folks that when you have that, cultivate that because it's not a small thing. Like, but I would go on a fence and say the majority of people don't have true support. You know?
But I think that's the thing too. Like, I want to give space for that, but I also want to give space for the fact that a lot of people don't present themselves in a way that other folks want to give that to them either.
Oh, for sure.
Folks are just nasty out here, but looking for a support system while being nasty.
For sure. And that's when your support system needs to become therapy. But I think, you know, or life coach. But I do think that you're right. People are, but then again, I struggle with, we're asking, especially in the queer community, people who have been jaded and mistreated and left astray to then show up beautiful is a big ask for a lot of people. Like, you know, and again, those are the few. Like, even for myself, I think what makes the space novel sometimes is, I hate some masculinity, but like for the masculine people, when I was in my closeted era, I met so many people, and most of my homies there was like, oh, you know, we're your community. And I feel like when I came out in 2019, I started all over because all of my homies were DL with me. And I think we're gonna talk about that space, right? Where it's like I don't know how it works in the trans community, right? Where it's like, you know, hey, like I done started passing. Sorry, girl. Like, you know, or it's like whatever. But for me, it was like, I'm not doing the same thing. I'm not mindful of where I am anymore. I'm not using they, them pronouns to describe a dude because I'm gay. I'm not doing I'm not playing the games. But now because I'm not playing the games, me and you can't be hanging forever. We ain't got much to talk about. But now I'm kind of like, and now you married to your girl, like, oh, my moms are married now and doing their thing, which I'm not, you know, they want to do your thing. But for me, it's like, I found my truth. But it's like now my truth kind of left me on this island, which then now I have to find community. I find a community of people who, A, feel the way towards me, and not specifically, and I think this is the part that's necessary to talk about, is like people feel the way because I remind them of the guy who mistreated them, I remind them of the guy who kept them in closet, kept them in secret, those kinds of things. And I get it, I'm not, it wasn't me, but I get it, like I'm the archetype of the guy who reminds you of him. So I get it, but now I'm gonna find community in those groups, or like that little like crabs in the barrel mentality sometimes, right? Like, you know, oh, he gay, y'all, all these girls like him, he gay, like I promise you. And it's like, I never said I wasn't gay, but it's like you feel like you have dealt with the brunt of being queer, and I'm kind of not dealing with what you think is the brunt of being queer. So now it's that little energy. So it becomes a lot. Does that make any sense? And so I think it's like, but at the end of it all, you have to like lean towards community. Because without community, who are we? Where are we? What are we doing? And their community looks different. If it's people, even for myself, and I'll shut up after this. When I first, I had like a relationship. I was in college. It was like a little private thing. And sorry, ladies, who I was dating at the time, but I had a quiet boyfriend who was in a different college at the time. Whatever. But I forgot my train of thought.
Lost it. When I said I was getting ready for the tea.
Wait, it was hot too. Wait, what was I talking about before that? I can't be that train of thought. But yeah, that was train of thought. Sorry.
I am. Bitch, I feel bamboozled. I feel I'm looking directly in the camera to say that I feel bamboozled.
I can't remember what I was about to say about what's that?
Hoodwinked.
That's my last point too. I can't remember, guys. I'm sorry.
Hoodwinked.
What was I talking about, Pat? Community?
Because you were, but you know what? See, like you were at this space where you were, now you got me lost. I was so into it, ready for the next word. And then you like, But shouts out to the ladies that was dealing with that. That's a whole episode though.
Yeah,
that's a whole episode.
Different can of worms.
That's a whole different can.
A whole different can of trauma.
Of trauma and. But I just want because we don't. The relationship of DL men to the queer community is one of the most complex and confusing, wild, beautiful relationships that I've ever seen in my life. Because I think that in some spaces, and please let me be very fucking clear, I could give less than a fuck, no respect, I will tell you DL man very quickly, I don't respect you at all as a human being. But it's one of those things where for me, I don't care whether you're one of the nice ones that's just like, I do my stuff on the low, but I don't talk bad about anybody because I know what I'm doing. Or if you're one of the ones that feels like you have to go above and beyond because you know what you're doing. I just can't respect the idea that you see what other folks are going through, you see what other people are dealing with, and you allow bigotry to take place in, with, or around you, while still engaging with people who you know are affected by it every single day. That is a huge problem for me, and it always has been.
Yeah.
And it's sad because one of my I'll say that he's like one of my best friends is a DL man that I had no intention. We had no intentions on like going there with each other when we first met or whatever the case may be. But it ended up being that. But I think that as I got older and over the years, I started to recognize and realize that we're falling in love, and this is a problem because there's nowhere that this can go beyond these backseats, these hotels, this city, this whatever, and whenever I'm in town, like there's nowhere that this can go beyond this. Yeah. And I think that my wake-up call was when I finally got the courage, because I don't know why I didn't have it before, but I finally got the courage to look through his social media one day, and it wasn't like he kept it from me, it wasn't like, I was blocked or anything like that, but I just never, because I was afraid of what I was going to see, and so I avoided it. I was like, all right. We in our own world, whatever you got going on outside of us, I don't give a fuck. But when I saw what you had going on outside of me, I was like, but that day we were together. And I didn't get this dinner. I didn't get this beautiful spread at the Renaissance. I didn't get that awesome date to the mini golf. And I know for a fact that this young lady just popped up a couple of months ago, maybe. And I've known you for 10 years, and you've shared your vulnerable moments, I've shared my vulnerable moments, but I'm not even worth a fucking Applebee's moment. And it was at that moment in my life where I was like, bitch, you a grown-ass woman, and so is he. And if that's what he want to do with his life for the next 10 years, let him have that. But you need to be elsewhere. But that's why the relationship is one of the most confusing and fucked up and toxic as well, because a lot of DL men feel like, and I think that some of them might agree, that they need you.
Need who?
The queer person who is out, who is living, because I think that a lot of it is the vicariously living, and it's not on something like, oh, I want to be like a man in a dress, or I think that it's I get my life off of seeing you do something and thrive and tell me about how you're living and moving in a way that I'm not ready to. And would you say that that might be true?
That might be true for some people, for sure. I was oblivious to that, which is low key worked in my favor, to be honest. I always say I was strict out of the closet, because I feel like in 2019, I started going to gay clubs, and I flew to LA because I feel like they wouldn't know me there. So I flew to LA, went to a gay club, and it wasn't that deep. So I was like, okay, come back to Atlanta, and I went to gay clubs there. But I met so many guys who I thought were comfortable in their skin. And I was in all of that. I was like, I want to get that. I want to feel liberated. Come to find they weren't out at work. They weren't out in one's family. They weren't, all these different places. The dogs are out. We're gay around gays. And that's it. But I didn't know that. So I'm like, okay, I want to find this liberation. So at that point, I went on my real journey to be my full self all the time, publicly. Unbeknownst to me, that wasn't a lot of people were still, journeying through their own version of what the closet looked like. Some closets were big, some were coat closets, some were walk-in closets. Closets not last. And then in my DL days, I had a lot of parameters, and I guess I'm talking a lot, but in the DL experience, a lot of us come up with our own version of good, right? And when you're doing, it's hard to do good in the midst of doing not so good.
Right.
Yeah, and so I'm struggling to say that, right? Because like, it's like for us, and I would say this because it didn't happen, so I'm not a terrible person in this way, but in my mind, as I navigated my sexuality, I always thought that I would get married to a woman and just have a boyfriend. And that was my version of integrity. I would be out here with every dude. I wouldn't be out here with different guys. I have one guy that I get my fix from. He would be somewhat of a best friend to me, and that's how I would rock, And even when I was DL, I would never be anybody's first. If you weren't as DL as me, it wasn't going down. And those little caveats that I made, right? That makes sense. I'm not talking to out boys and like traumatizing you. I'm just playing racquetball with my trauma, but somebody else has the same exact trauma, right? And it's like still shitty, but I think for a lot of us, we are trying to make the best of an environment where we think that's where we have to exist, especially on college campuses, when you're thinking about how pervasive the Obio can be, and you're trying to make a line, you're trying to play, you're trying to do these things that you think is necessary for your sexuality to lean towards the straight side of things. So it makes it very difficult, but I think for me, what saved me as well was the only time I was a liar was in that respect. Like I wasn't like a natural liar. I'm not really good at lying.
Right.
And so I felt like kind of like a punk, if I'm being honest. Like I'm like, dang, I'm giving these folks like they're puppeteering my steps. Like I can't make a move without anticipating what someone's gonna think, say, feel, like literally. And I remember I was online and I had this boyfriend and I would have to lie to go see. It was just like, it became so intense. And it got to the point where I was just like, okay, Obio, let's talk. Let's get real.
Right.
Like, what does life look like? And then I would meet so many guys who at the time thought they were affirming me, but they were just being cautionary tales, right? Where he was like, yo, like, you gonna end up like me, bro. Like, I'm saying, you'll be good. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to be married and cheating every 5 seconds. I don't know if I want to be like hiding forever. I don't want to be like lonely at 16 because I didn't leave any room for my orientation. Like, I just didn't want those things. And so it was like, okay, so I graduated, and this is like the last part of the story. I graduated from college, moved back to Atlanta, and in that space, I was just super lonely. Because I was afraid of gay people because I thought they would see me, and I was afraid of straight people because I thought they would see me. And so I'm like, I don't want to be seen. So I just spent my time going to work, the gym, I would go home, work, gym, home, work, gym, home. And I was like, yo, I didn't go everywhere. I didn't have fun, I didn't talk to my friends. I was just an island, and I was like, okay. I flew LA was like gay club, and I was gay ever since. I've been gay, but I was fine.
Right, but like out. Like out.
And then you fast forward, and I was like, okay, well, how can I help other people kind of find their liberation, whatever that looks like? But my journey is really not to be, I don't ever advise people to come out. I think that's kind of late anyway. My advice is to be yourself. And both will follow suit. They'll hop on board. Even for myself, I have to come out often, and I'll be in spaces and I'll say something like, yeah, my boyfriend said that. And you kind of hear the pin drop in the room, like, boyfriend. And I'm like,
oh yeah, go ahead, say my bad. Okay, so yeah. Okay.
Like, and I think like even now, like to your point that went earlier about like kind of advocating for the group, and the DLs are going to do a good job of that. But I think because a lot of people like advocating to put the scarlet letter on you, right? If I'm like too friendly with gay people, are they gonna think that I'm part of that? And that fear is that there. But now being people who advocate for the community, that's a fight too. No, like picking and choosing those battles is very, very difficult.
I think that for me, it's the idea of what is that is so wrong to be a part of, right? Like that. I think that's always been my struggle is what is that's so like I know why I don't want to be associated with a pedophile. I know why I don't want to be associated with thieves or liars or folks that beat women or women that beat men or anything that is socially decided as bad. But when it comes down to someone's sexual preference or the way that they show up in the world, what is so perplexingly bad that I don't even want to be associated with you as a friend?
What do you assume it is?
I think that a lot of it is the idea that if people, I think some people, not all, because I'm not one of those people that is pushing the gay agenda that everyone is, right? But, because the Kinsey scale is wrong, I don't give a fuck what y'all feel about it. But it's one of those things where I really think that a large part of it is some folks are afraid to get close to us because they're afraid to see themselves for real, like how you said. I don't want to be seen. And so I distance myself, not even because I really think that y'all are bad people, but it's because I feel like if I get a taste of that Kool-Aid, ain't no coming back. And I don't have a plan for what happens after I drink the Kool-Aid. And it's good, because I know it's gonna be good. But what do I do with that information once I've already sipped? Right? I don't know. And so I feel like there are some people who are really just trying to gather their shit up. And it's taking them forever because they pussies about it. But I feel like there are some people in the world who are just like, just give me a minute. Oh, okay, next pride, I got you. Next pride, right, it's the double dutch. And then I feel like there are some people who genuinely have been taught that we are bad people.
Nice.
And so they blindly believe that, and because they believe that they've never met a gay person, they've never met a trans person, they've never met anything, there's nothing to circumvent or there's nothing to go against those thought processes, because not only were they taught, but then intentionally, which is why some of y'all parents are so pressed, right? Intentionally, they were shielded as well. So not only am I going to teach you that they're bad, but then I'm also going to shield you from them in the real world. When I see one of them being regular and decent, I'm gonna act as if you, like there's the gay guy at the Krispy Kreme that we go to every Saturday, he gay, but I order the donuts and I make you sit outside so that you don't get to see him treat me well. So that you don't get to see him give me this extra 4 because we come here all the time and he just loves my energy, even though he doesn't know that I hate his guts and I've been telling you that he's a heathen who's going to hell. Right? So there's all of those things, and those, I think that's the huge point. It's either I don't want to see myself, or I've been taught and shielded from the fact that y'all can be just like everyone else, and y'all can be kind and you can be sweet. But I don't know what to do with that information when I do understand that, and so I'm still gonna be upset. I'm gonna find something to be upset about because I don't know any other way to be.
And people don't, but you're right, a lot of people have been, because again, a lot of people are picking their battles in the sense of like, when someone does say, I never met a trans person, we kind of be like, or a person, I never met a gay person. We were on set, I don't think we can say what we were on set, when we met, but we were on set, like, and there was a guy on set, really cool brother, don't get me wrong, but he was so adamant. He was like, I've never been around a trans guy, I've never been around a gay boy, like he was like in a new world. And I'm like, dude, like we exist in the world, like we out here. But he was like, he had never, and he heard some horror stories. And even for myself, as a closeted man, I heard so many horror stories about them presenting gay guys, right? They're gonna be messy, they're gonna out you, so you have this own preconceived notion. And some of the most beautiful relations I've had with gay men. But it's like, in my mind, like, I was told to avoid them at all costs. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then even down to like the sickness part. I did a video yesterday about HIV. And someone in the comment was saying, thank you so much. Do you live with HIV? Asking about HIV. And I said that I don't personally have the virus, but I think we all live with HIV. But I think a lot of us feel, I think a lot of us feel like I'm not gay, so come on, man, you live in the world with us. I'm not trans, so I'm not non-binary, so I'm not lesbian, so I'm not bi, so, and that sounds cute in the grand scale of things, but I think that honestly, like, I've had that since I did before and they got brought up, so I guess, sorry if you get brought up again, but I've had to mitigate the amount of, I believe to be even like, I believe in that straight men's attraction. Like, it's been a real thing. And I think a lot of that is not rooted in you being even queer as much as you not understanding what attraction really is. I think a lot of queer people have had to explain or educate a lot of cis het folks on social understandings because no one gave it to you before, right? So I've had to, even in college, I recognized that some homeboys would be like, enjoying intimate moments with me, but then feel a little whatever. And some of us would take advantage of that. I'm not gonna lie and say nothing happened. A lot of us do kind of see that vulnerability in the streets and be like, I can tap right there. Right. And we gonna have a good night. Right. But there's a lot of us who don't. And I think it does feel like a personal attack because a lot of us are like active and even helping you maintain your straightness in the midst of you trying to suppress my sexual orientation.
While exploring your own.
And it's like,
that'd be the gag.
That'd be the real interesting thing because I'm like, Jay, I'm trying to.
That'd be the gag.
But I'm gonna let you have yours because it's nothing to do with me. But I think it is a very interesting game of, we're talking this offline, which is about like, how much of this can I ingest? how much of this can I take? How much of this can I put on my back and on my shoulders? How much can I carry, you know, in the midst of trying to do good and be good, but also being in this space where there's a lot of communities of people, even for myself, I have a lot of straight friends. And my straight friends that I call friends, beautiful people. Their friends,
not so much.
Because they don't have a gay friend. They have to like, because even my straight friends, I have to educate them often, right? But they don't have that education on them for whatever reason, it's fine. But again, now I'm in community with them. I'm hearing, I was at a game night, I'm not going to say no names, which I know who you are. But I was at a game night recently, the guy was talking about, we were asking who all has had an abortion or something like that. It was a group of gay guys. And we're talking, and I made a comment. I was like, I was like, was it a girl you got pregnant? And they were like, And I was like, okay guys, don't be transphobic. But I was just kind of like, being passing by, like, just kind of take an avenue to kind of educate, right? Man, they almost ran me out of town. Because, you know, I was like, oh, not this again, right? But it's like, if we're literally going to live in a community of people, and I think it's also interesting that happens in black communities. Because it's not foreign being mistreated based on things you can't change. It's not foreign to you.
None of it is foreign. But for some reason, it's like when the question around sexuality and gender expression comes up, y'all lose. It's like, where does it go? And it's crazy because I will see a person make a video and eloquently lay out all of the woes of white supremacy and intersectionality and all of the things, and then be under a queer person's post, debating with them about humanity and civil rights.
Literally. Make it make sense, because I don't have a thing for it.
They don't have a thing for it. I think that honestly, there's a space for real, where people have become okay with not being the little fish, right? And so while if we lay this out, white supremacy being the biggest fish of them all, the white men being, you know, the prey to that fish, right? Because even at the top, but like, do not think that white men run shit. I'm sure that there's a white woman up there that we don't know about, we never met her, she's richer than everybody else, so she's calling shots, right? But then you have the white men, then you have black men, then you have white women, then you have black women. And in the subsets of all of those things, you have the counterparts of sexuality and gender, right? Meaning that black transgender women are at the bottom of the bottomest of all of these totem poles. And I think that what happens is when people want to distract the bigger fish, they point them in your direction. And so it's like, if I'm a white man and I want to distract them from what I'm doing, I'm going to point them in the face of black men. If I'm a black man and I want to distract them from what I'm doing, I'm going to point them in the face of black women. If I'm a black woman, I'm going to point them, like, it's all of those things. And so it just keeps trickling down. And so everybody's looking down at black trans women like, why the fuck are y'all here collectively? It's like a game of telephone that never goes wrong, because as long as you're the smallest fish and you ain't got nobody to look down on, you lose. And we all eat. Because let's not forget that the bigger fish still gets eaten, right? The biggest fish still gets the meal. All y'all did was help me get here, right? The big fish rolled your little fins all the way through all of these subsets of people and was collecting hors d'oeuvres all the way down.
Well, do you think all that happens in the community? There's a hierarchy in like the gay man needing a scapegoat?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Because I feel like now at this point, we are at a space where people are more comfortable with gay men, because we're at a space I think folks have this impression that all gay men were giving 2003 Atlanta gay fishnets, bright cross colors, all of the things. And so now that we're in 2022 and folks recognize and truly understand that gay men can look and operate like you, it's like, oh, okay, I'm cool with that, because the more of y'all that I see, it's less of the whatevers and it's more of that. But now it's also even the fact that the femme queens are getting, the femme queens have been in so many spaces with all the bad bitches that now their accessories not just to the bad bitches, but to the bad bitches that and the niggas and the boyfriends, right? Because it's like, oh, now arrogance, hey, I love you because you be with all the girls and you can put me on with all the girls, so it doesn't bother me that you do hair and you sound a certain way, because I can be in space and be funny, right? That whenever you see a gay guy that's really cool with a bunch of hood ass niggas, one of the first things that they will say about him is that, oh, he funny as fuck. Like, he cool as fuck, he funny, he makes me laugh, right? And so you're technically comic relief and a dateline. But there is this assimilation tactic or conversation that is silently happening about the fact that as long as you can make me laugh, give me access to beautiful women, and you don't come on to me in a way that I don't want or consent to, I'm cool with y'all. But what I can't do is be in the same space with these people because those people are too much. And then you have some gay men who are like, oh, so in order to stay in this space, I have to denounce those people who say this. I don't understand either. Trans people get on my nerves.
Oh, yeah. And I think too, to the people who I may fit my more so the thing towards where I look like whatever, they leave their gay at home a lot.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people don't have to touch people. I think even for myself, a lot of people receive me, they feel like I don't have to touch this gay because you know, act gay. We can talk about all the things, we can start about women, all these kinds of things, and it's like so many people who look like me have been conditioned to just leave their gay at home. I'm not gonna bring it up. I'm not gonna talk about it. Let's talk about sports, kick it. They have a go here, and y'all can talk about y'all girls. I'm gonna be quiet. And for me, when I first came out, it was kind of the same thing. Like my home was, oh yeah, you cool. I don't care about that, bro. Remember, I saw Crystal, bro. I saw Ashley, man. Remember you used to tap that in so and so hall. Yeah, but I also like have a dude I'm dating right now, though. Oh, come on,
But I do.
And it's like again, like you're comfortable as long as I leave my kid at home, and it's like I'm gay. Even the conversation about blackness, like it was like, oh, which comes first, blackness or queerness? I'm never not black. I'm never not gay.
They exist at the same time simultaneously whenever I show up.
That's just gonna be here. I'm not relegating. I'm not like, well, me con. I think that amount of freedom is, I guess, maybe a luxury, fine, but I think it's also there's privileges and not luxuries. I think even for myself, like, not to be whatever, guys. I don't promote any violence, which I probably can't take me. You know what I mean? Like, just being real. And so like that did give me a little bit more confidence because at the end of it, in my mind, if it hit the fan, it was gonna get active. But there are so many men, and this is a real thing, who don't get active like that. And they're like, I don't really want to be in the midst of harm's way. So do I choose like literal safety, or do I choose my liberation and my truth in this moment? And that dichotomy or juxtaposition rather, is difficult for a lot of people because I don't want to be in a position where I have to make that choice. What kind of choice is that? Those bills suck. Like, and like the barbershop is uncomfortable for so many people, but you gotta kind of like put on your best butch routine. We see those bills on TikTok all the time where it's like, let me eat this. What's up, y'all? And then they get in the car. Girl, this shit. You know?
It's too much, yes.
But you shouldn't have to do that. It's funny, but that shouldn't be a reality for you.
But my thing is that I feel like it's only a reality because it's what we expect. It's the same thing that we tell people. Very fine line, right? It's a very fine line where we tell people that he can only do what you allow because some people gonna do what they want to do, right? And it has nothing to do about your consent or your comfortability. But it's one of those things where I feel like it's funny because it's true, but it's also funny because it goes back to what my friend Tyler was saying, which is y'all know better. So of course you're not gonna come in here switching and twisting and because you know better. And so that gives us leeway to say that you know you're doing wrong. That's why because if you didn't feel like it was wrong, you would come in here with that crop top and give us all of the fever and get this haircut knowing we gonna roast your ass. But you don't. And why is that? Because my thing, and I, maybe this is just my radical whatever, because for me, had I remained a femme-affirming gay man, that was always my move. My mood was never, I'm going to double it down. My mood is, I'm going to turn it up and come in here and get this faded. With my leg warmers and my tutu on, right? Like, funniest story, and I tell this story often. When my freshman year, I had no idea for real how HBCUs work. I didn't want to go to an HBCU, so I really had no fucking clue about nothing. The alphas on campus had pissed me the fuck off, okay? The alphas on campus had pissed me the fuck off, and they were hosting what I now know was an entrance meeting. Oh. In the moment, to my freshmen, also uneducated on HBCUs ass, it was supposed to be just another like forum, like that everybody was having on campus, on the yard. But to everyone who knew better, they knew that this was an entrance meeting. And at this particular day, I decided, oh, this was where I'm gonna make my statement. Fucking outfits, And so I get dressed. I'm talking about, I got on the leg warmers, the tutu, the tights with the rhinestones on. I mean, it was the most. Something I would never wear on a regular, but like it was the because I wanted to come and sit in that space and just eat them the fuck up. And as I'm walking towards the house, one of my theater friends was just like he was getting ready to walk in and he notices me and he's like, and so he like runs to greet me before I can get to the gate. And he's like, oh, what the fuck are you doing? Shouts out to Chris Lindsay. But he's like, oh, what the fuck are you doing? You're dressed like that. And I was like, what you talking about? Like, I came to come to the forum. He's like, oh, this is not a forum. Like, I was like, Chris, what you talking about? It interests me in. So as Chris is lacing me up, now the alpha see an opportunity to embarrass me. For sure. So now they're like, oh, you here dressed like that? Mind you, everybody else is in a suit because they knew better. And so they was like, oh, you here? But mind you, I'm a freshman. So in their mind, I am the flamboyant faggot who we finna laugh at. Because y'all don't know me, y'all don't know my mind and my capacity just yet. Because I'm a freshman, y'all know who I am. All y'all know is that I'm gay. And so they're inviting me in and we're doing all the things. Chris is just like, fuck. Because now he feels like I'm his responsibility as his theater brother at the time. And he's just like, but I'm still trying to get online. I don't know what the fuck to do. So Chris is like, just try not to say nothing. Just like,
kick it in the back. Just
kick it in the back. Try not to say, like, just chill. And so we get in there and it's like 50 dudes, all in suits. I'm in bright pink and green and every fucking thing else with these braids down, like just all of this stuff. And all of these dudes, they snickering, they giggling, so they ask the first question and nobody knows the answer.
But who? Oh, Lord, have the mercy, Jesus.
And so I get to giving them all of the politics and all of the things, and they ask them more questions, and nobody knows the answers. And here's Hope, who's filling it out. And so now everyone wants to continue to be appalled and to think that it's funny that my presence is in the room, but now they're like, oh, this nigga smart though, he making us look bad. So now people are trying to answer questions and still getting it wrong. I'm like, well, actually, brother, like this is but it's the person with the pink leg warmers on, and you can't take it seriously, even though you have to, because the information is factual. And when the interest meeting was over, I'll never forget the alpha was like, hey, yo, stay, I want to talk to you. We'll let you online if you drop all of this. Yeah. First of all, didn't want to be online, didn't know what the fuck this was, don't care about it. But if I did, how dare you? Because if y'all see me as a valuable individual while I'm wearing all of this, then I'm going to be a valuable individual, period. Me having to tone this down, all of this other stuff, like, would it, like, I don't even understand the purpose of that. But thank you for the offer. I'm gonna go home now.
That's strength a lot of people don't have.
And a lot of people ain't got that.
Because everybody's used to that. Our families tell you that. You can come home, but don't bring no dude with you. You can come in here, but don't have that gay stuff going on. Don't talk about that, don't bring it up. I struggle with that to this day, those people with family members. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be in spaces and I'm seeing other people do the exact thing that I'm doing. It's like, oh, too much. But it just happened inexplicably, you know what I'm saying? But again, we could talk about that all day. I just think for a lot of what this is like you owning your liberation and not like dipping. And I say it's often my sexuality is not a shirt. I don't put it on and take it off. I don't throw it in the wash. I don't do it. It's me. It's who I am. And I think a lot of us have to be mindful of that as we travel through this world. And again, don't want to say pick your battles. I don't want to pick your battles. I want to say everything has its time. And I'll leave it at that, right? And you can decide what your time is and what that looks like for you. But I think all in all, we don't live in this world alone. And I think it does do us good to champion the spaces, especially spaces in which you find yourself in. You know what I mean? Like I say this often, but a lot of even queer people are more comfortable looking like allies than members of the community. And I think that's kind of where we fall short, right? Like you know.
Guilty as fuck, yeah.
And that was me for a little bit, right? I'll post her and cry for y'all under the confines of like, y'all be good for the community. They're good people. They don't mean no harm. And that was my little stab. But it was like, nah, I think we do ourselves a really big service by owning our truths. And it does so much. And again, people aren't the responsibility. Maybe I believe they are because I'm big on community. But I think in the grand scale, like, what'd you say? What is the what was the phrase you said earlier? What is the that matters so much, or whatever you're talking about as relates to sexuality and identity?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't pull the word.
Our memories today
it's horrible. It's trash.
but that stuck out to me.
Yeah,
it stuck out to me because it's a real thing. Like like, what is your dad? And as you sit up thinking, what are my dads? Like, what matters so much to me? Like, I took a class in psychology, and I swear I'm gonna shut up. And we were asked, what is necessary to know to embark on friendship with someone? Ooh. And it was like, even the religion, the gender, and it's all that's necessary. As much as in the beginning, it was like, yes, I need to know. And then when you ask why, well, I guess your gender isn't necessary to be identified with me about this. And I guess your orientation doesn't really matter to the grand scale of this. And I guess it wouldn't affect this. I guess if you're not Christian, you still do my version of good, and I guess you're still good people. Like, but in our minds, we're conditioned that you need to be just like me in so many ways. You need to be straight like I'm straight, Christian like I'm Christian, black like I'm black, male like I'm, whatever that looks like. Mm-hmm. And when you take all that down, you want a solid person around you. Like, period. Oh, boom, I remember what I was gonna say earlier about the college story. Okay.
Take us there. Mine
is so anticlimactic now I think about it. But I was saying, I was dating a guy in college. I used to always talk about how I cannot wait to make a group of gay friends. I would love some community because we were. Well, how graphic can we be here?
Say your thing.
It was Astro Lodge. We didn't know anything. Let's just say that there wasn't any like.
Oh yeah, I'm right like that.
We didn't know anything because we didn't have any. We were gonna ask. We didn't have anybody to ask, so it was very.
Yeah.
And so I always say I can't wait to get friends. And what's interesting is I have more active straight friends probably in this moment of my life right now. But what's interesting is I wanted solid people.
Right.
If it happens to be a group of gays, please, right. Let's run it. A group of trans women, trans men, it didn't matter. I wanted solid people, but in my mind it was like I'm only comfortable being gay around gays, so they have to be gay. But now that I'm in my full truth, you'll find yourself building community in spaces you probably never have to build community because you're you all the time. I'm gonna do that in case.
I think that what's really interesting is when it comes down to that, I don't know if I have many, because I don't quantify my friends by their sexuality. If we cool and we bang and we vibe, like we do. Because I think in my inner circle of people who I fuck with, gotta check in with you every week. But even she doesn't identify as bisexual, but she also doesn't like the label of just being straight. When she knows that she leans male leaning, but she's just don't. Yeah. So I guess my circle is mainly queer, but it's not by design. It's just because that's where I'm at in the season of my life, and these are the people that feed my soul in that particular way. But I remember before I got my boyfriend, there's a photographer guy, not interested in that same way anymore, howsoever. I still love him. He's still an amazing person. That's why I'm not going to reduce his talent. He is talented. But he's an amazing photographer on Instagram. And I was crushing on this boy hard. I'm talking about shamelessly flirting in the comments. And he wasn't giving me the signs that he wasn't with it. And he followed me. So I knew that he knew that I was trans because he interacted with my content. And so I'm just like, let's shoot shots. Let's do this. And mind you, he's Haitian. He's a black man. He cool, he giving Obio vibes as far as energy. Yeah. But I still had to, because coming from Haitian Cuban family, I know people get to looking funny. Right. And when I shot my shot, I was so amazed at the fact that this man, because I think the way that I asked was would you be opposed to going on a date with a trans woman? And he was like, yo, Hope, I'm hella flattered. All of the things, you really beautiful. I'm talking to a girl right now. But if I wasn't, I would. And if I'm not, and you want to ask again, and I'm not, then yeah, let's do a thing. And there were so many times before I got with my boyfriend now, where we couldn't, it just didn't work out, right? It was just this plane, that plane, this schedule doesn't, whatever. But it was just amazing to me because I got a chance to see that not all of my perceptions about who people were and who people could be were correct. Because I have been scared and who's to say that maybe if I hadn't been so fucking scared, if I had just been upfront the months before instead of sliding the DMs and flirting the comments, what could have happened? Yeah. But it brings me back to a space of, even after all of that, creating community with somebody who I did not feel like I could relate to beyond appreciating his art, made it easier for me to then interact with other Black men. And not all of them were great. Not everybody responded in the way that he responded, even when it wasn't about some love shit. Some people were just oh, you trans, I can't really be you know, fucking with you like that, but thank you for appreciating my work. And this would be after I bought some shit. Like, I would get, like, you know how, like, you buy something, and now, like, everything is content these days, right? Like, even when you're not thinking about it. So, I bought some shit from this black-owned company, and the owner just happened to be a black man, and when I got it, I made a video, and I sent him a personal thank you, and I was just like, yo, like, thank you so much, like, this shit was stuff. It was, like, some body butter or something. And it was really good, and I was just like, thank you so much, and, like, he immediately was just like, yo, I'm straight, like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm thanking you for the body butter. I ain't even... What? Yeah. Wasn't it? But it didn't deter me because there were several more other times where I was. Right. Where I would do that, and they would just be like, yo, let's work, let's do X, Y, and Z. And so I think that it says a lot about us too. And like one of the things that I want to like leave us on is that as queer people, we also have to be mindful. The same way we don't want to be boxed in and monolith in, like we can't make it. And I understand safety. Ladies and femmes specifically, I understand safety in these conversations and that we have to navigate them, understanding that a lot of these people, if given the opportunity to be violent, whether it's verbal or physical, they will. So protect your peace and use your common sense, but also be mindful of the fact that just like we're people and we have nuances to ourselves and we have different things, like so do other people. And you never know what you're gonna get out of that Cracker Jack box, ever.
Agreed.
What you wanna leave the people with?
I think the goal or the trajectory has to be lessening the spaces in which you cannot be yourself. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of how you arrive at being yourself, right? Like, I get it, never happened in the night, it's not happening overnight, you're not gonna wake up one day, and I get it, possibly. But I think at the same time, the more you realize that, like take inventory of where you are while you're in these, like, really trying seasons of life, right? Like, I don't feel that comfortable here, or I didn't need that conversation feeling myself. I had friends like that, where I'm like, every time I get on the phone with this person, I never leave feeling recharged. Ooh, let me have less conversation with this person, because I'm not leaving that conversation feeling that big, right? I think out loud, I need to be mindful. Where do you feel smaller? Where don't you feel like you can be yourself? In those moments, it is okay to be like, I'm good.
I'm straight.
Like, I'm cool on it. Sometimes it's family, that's the hard part to swallow, but sometimes it's family members. You're like, I don't feel that comfortable in these spaces, or it's friends, or it's frat brothers, or it's whoever. And I think that that's really where I want people to really like take away. Like, make sure that you're prioritizing your safety, but prioritizing your freedom and your liberation.
Go where you're wanted.
Facts.
Go where you're celebrated.
Facts. For real. That's not that foreign. It feels foreign, but there are people who are legitimately like desiring to celebrate you. You don't have to like only like relegate yourself to be around people who kind of tolerate you a little bit, or let a few of your like quirks go unnoticed. Like, go where you're celebrated. And keep creating space.
Okay, so like tell people where they can find you, what you got going on, what's up next for you.
Period. Find me on social media, Obio O Jones. You go to our website, obioojones.com. You can pick up some merch. You can schedule a lab coaching session. Certified lab coach, a little conversation with me. What's next is in the air. It's really in God's hands at this moment, but hopefully something big. We're gonna keep creating space until we stop.
Look, I mean, somebody gave me some dope advice and was like, you're never broke, you're never without work, you just don't know where the next one is coming from. Right? I don't know where the next job is coming from, but it's coming. Right? And so, look, I think it was Danielle Young. I think Danielle Young was the one that told me to stop saying that, like, I'm broke or like I'm without a job. Like, I don't know where it's coming. The email is coming. Yeah. Right? The invitation to the networking event is coming. I just don't know when. And so there's that. But with that being said, y'all, thank y'all so much for joining me on this special in-person, in real life edition of Can We Talk with Giselle. And I will see y'all on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Peace.